You know, the ridiculous exercise of power is embarrassing. I have a lot of power. I have 15 million listeners, and sometimes I misuse it. It's embarrassing. But, you know, the point is that we're here confronting a global mafia. In fact, Paul, why don't you do it? Why don't we get Kurt Nimmo or Paul or one of you guys do an article about the Logan Act and how this is illegal? Why don't we do a report on that? We need a report pointing out the Bilderberg meeting is illegal. That's the headline. I mean, I'm telling these guys it's illegal, and they're rolling their eyes at me. I want to write an article about that with links to
Bilderberg 2012. Stay tuned. We're back on the Alex Jones Show on this May 31st edition, and of course, it's the first day of Bilderberg 2012. We've got police harassing activists already, reports of people getting pulled over, vehicles search, criminal background checks run. Alex Jones and crew tried to park in a public parking lot, were kicked out, the police tried to intimidate them. And now Alex Jones is live on the scene with the bullhorn, and he's joined by Adam Kokesh of Adam versus the Man.
Yes,
so
yes, and I just want to be clear. Now, are we ever sending out this Skype feed that we have, or is that needed, or should Aaron go to live feed? Okay, that's live right now. Yes, it is live right now, Aaron. Okay, fantastic. Great job, guys. Okay, fantastic. We got double boxes up there on TV right now. Adam Kokesh, you got here about 3 hours before we did. Tell us, host of Adam versus the Man, tell us what you witnessed.
Sure. Well, we had kind of an uneasy standoff until about an hour ago, where the entire crowd was out here on the sidewalk on the public property, and the police had their checkpoint well away from the cameras, where you couldn't see what was going on. You couldn't really see who was involved. And one of the gentlemen here, as part of the protest, decided to go and ask for identification for the officers involved in order to report them as violators of the Logan Act, and use that as you did as a way of simply starting a conversation, having it in official capacity, saying this is something that you are obligated to do as an honest member of law enforcement. You have an obligation to identify yourself by name and badge number. And what prompted their response that you see now, where we're all pushed back and barricaded in here, was that he was completely rebuffed in all of his attempts. They let him, as they pushed the crowd of us back that were trying to record what was going on, they allowed him to write down names and badge numbers, but there was no official communication at all. And it seems it's one of those really weird things. Like you said, you can point out the psychological underpinnings of the insecurities of these officers and embarrass them, but they are relatively disciplined, and they understand, even though they're local Fairfax County, Virginia officers, that this is a special event and you're not obligated to do your normal duties as a law enforcement agent.
And everywhere the globalists go, they turn it into a police state and a martial law drill. All over the world, it's standardized.
Of course. And so what we have now is where people are being barricaded back specifically here to the public property.
This is what went on in Iraq when you were there. I mean, the exact same science of control is being brought here. Well, the drones, the face scanning.
Man, what I would compare more to my time in Iraq was what happens at a TSA checkpoint. You know, when I ran an entry control point at a civil military operations center in Fallujah, and in order to let an Iraqi into our facility, they would have to get a pat down, similar to what happens at a TSA checkpoint.
No, they admit at MIT developed that in Iraq for the U.S. It's a laboratory.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's perfect. And now you see here, even in Virginia, like, I feel less safe than I ever. I'm really tempted to move out and join you in Texas, man. At least if there's any chance of secession. But, you know, here in Virginia, the governor is saying that we need more drones for law enforcement, and his justification for it is how successful they've been on the battlefield. And what he's telling us is that he's going to turn this into a battlefield. He's going to keep the police imposing the same kind of martial law that we were imposing in Iraq. And that was my big objection. It wasn't law and order, it was martial law. And it's the same thing here. Now what we have is not a response from law enforcement that is intended to protect and serve. They won't even converse with people here beyond issuing orders. And this is exactly the kind of...
They train them to dehumanize us and dehumanize themselves.
Absolutely, in the same way that we dehumanize the enemy in Iraq. It's the exact same thing. They're the Praetorian Guard, especially those here. But what's so sick about the modern police state is that well-intentioned officers all over the country are now in a position where they basically at any time get drafted into what really here today is very especially a manifestation of the Praetorian Guard.
Oh, we got to move back. More barricades.
Of the superclass.
All right, we're going to break, folks. Paul Watson. We're going to get Daniel Estelin coming on at 8 after. Stay with us. Infowars.com's got the list. Infowars.com.
Okay, that's Alex Jones live on the scene at Chantilly. Of course, the 2012 Bilderberg Conference. We've got the official attendee list now released on the Bilderberg website.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live here at the scene of the Global Crime Mafia meeting 2012, Bilderberg 2012. We are here to let the criminals know that we are identifying them and identifying their globalist takeover and their open announcement that the UN and NATO run our military and our Congress is vestigial. We are here to let them know that their world government has been identified and they thought they'd implode the world economy to bring in a worldwide police state, but instead it's going to bring them down. The answer to 1984 is 1776. The answer to tyranny is liberty. The answer to tyranny is resistance, and you are the resistance. You are the answer to tyranny. Daniel Estolin is coming up on my radio show in a minute. I'm going to go over there. You guys keep protesting. I'm going to interview him with some breaking intel. We just got the list. It's up at Infowars.com. If any of you want to check it out, listening on the radio or anywhere else. And we are going to continue as more people arrive. Most people are coming tomorrow and over the weekend because they're debt slaves like all of us to these systems. We are here, and this is historic. Paul Watson, give us your take on this.
It's historic, Alex, and it's just amazing the amount of people that are there. It's Occupy Bilderberg, of course. We've got kind of the left and right combining for this one. And it's set to be the biggest protest against Bilderberg ever. And just in anticipation of that, I was referencing earlier these new We Are Change videos, which are up on Prisonplanet.com. And in these videos, Luke confronts both Tony Blair and Lawrence O'Donnell, the MSNBC host. With Blair, he went to Bilderberg in 1993, of course, went on to become British Prime Minister in 97, just as Bill Clinton attended Bilderberg, went on to become president before him. And Blair actually lied before Parliament and said that he never attended Bilderberg. And yet in this confrontation, which is on prisonplanet.com by We Are Change, Blair openly admits he did attend Bilderberg. So in that one confrontation, he admits he actually lied to Parliament back when he was asked about it. We're bringing Alex up now. Alex Jones.
Lies, 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 lies! A bunch of liars! And we're identifying them, and they can't stand it. I want to salute everybody that's out here today. Yeah! All right, folks, I'm going to go to the radio show for a while. I'll be back. Daniel Estlin's coming up. You folks are awesome. This is history making. What's happening? And it was about 100 degrees out here last year. I'm loving this weather compared to 4 years ago. Doesn't it seem like yesterday for those that were out here 4 years ago? Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I salute you. All right, Watson, take us out to break.
I met you last time.
Okay, we're going to go back to Alex shortly, where he's going to interview Daniel Estolin, of course, author of the true story of the Bilderberg Group, to get an insight into more of Bilderberg's 2012 agenda, because we've got the press release on Bilderberg's official website. Of course, we know a couple of years ago they were forced to set up their official website after pretending they didn't exist for decades. And it's the usual vague reference to what they're discussing, no detail whatsoever. They're talking about the political, economic, and societal issues like transatlantic relations. Again, that could be anything. It's so vague. They do mention they're discussing cybersecurity, as was the case last year in Switzerland, austerity growth in developed economies. We're going to cover it all with author Daniel Estolin and Alex Jones on the other side of the break. You can watch the Ustream live at Infowars.com. Stay tuned.
I am coming to you from the ground right outside the Brooksfield Marriott, where the Bilderberg Group is now set to meet for its third time in the last 2 decades. and there is already a crowd of about 200 people out here, even though the real demonstrations don't start till tonight. Most people can't get here until obviously Friday and Saturday. I'm going to be here right through the itinerary and the list. The new Bilderberg list 2012 is up at Infowars.com. Now, for the next 30 minutes, joining us from Europe is the best-selling author of Club Bilderberg, and he's got a great sources inside Bilderberg. We've now gotten some sources as well, not just on the hotel staff, but close to Bilderberg. And Jim Tucker gave us a big data download I'm going to give you next hour. But Daniel Estulin is working on a lot of new stuff right now, and he joins us. So fantastic to be able to get him on, a very busy guy. And again, Paul Watson is from England. He's sitting in the wings in case I have any technical problems, and I'm here on the ground with Aaron Dykes, and of course, Rob Jacobson, Richard Reeves, and others. I just want to salute all the great folks that are out here. It's amazing to see the light of liberty in all their eyes. Daniel Estulin, wonderful to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, brother. How you doing, man?
I am good, Daniel. Please tell us, I talked to you yesterday. You say you've got some amazing intel on Bilderberg from your source. What's happening in the world of Bilderberg from your perspective?
Well, I think without wasting too much time, we can go into this morning's discussion, Alex, if you want. We can start with that, and then we can maybe talk a little bit about what they're planning to do over the next couple of days. Now, one of the key conclusions from this morning is that the United States wants the dollar to fall in value against the Chinese yuan. Now, obviously, this is not a great piece of news. A lot of us who've been into this, we've known about this for a long time. But it's interesting, the actual discussion itself and the development of how these people at this meeting, about 125 individuals, who have a lot of power amongst them and between them, how they actually went about talking about this whole idea of destroying the value of the United States dollar against the Chinese yuan. Now, naturally, Washington won't be able to publicly say that. So what they do is they do the next best thing. They make it politically feasible to blame China for all the problems that have beset the United States. Now, Washington shifts the blame to China when in reality what Washington wants is, again, according to what these people talked about, a devalued dollar. Number two, the inflation a devalued dollar will cause. And number three, obviously you can inflate away its debt and obligation. Thing is, the people are the guinea pigs in all of this, especially the American people. Your wealth, our wealth is at risk. The purchasing power of the United States dollar is obviously being sacrificed at the expense of everything that we've talked about right now. And now, Bilderberg is concerned with yet another Lehman-type mega shock. That's something else that these people talked about this morning. Without concluding, they'll be talking about more about this afternoon. Now, one of the key discussions from this morning, again, dealt with a very real possibility of bank runs, the final nail in the coffin of any modern economy. Now, remember, last year, Alex, we witnessed a very similar contagion when investors stampeded from the bonds of the weakest European countries. Now, we've talked about this a couple of years ago. If you remember, about 2.5 years ago, we said this was going to happen, and of course, it's happening right now. And much like today, the first to be attacked was Greece, and it will be again the weakest link in the chain. Then comes Spain, then comes Portugal, and then comes Italy and France. Although Italy is a very interesting case scenario. A lot of people will talk about Italy going down, but again, according to my sources within the group, Italy will never go down because it has this funny little institution called the Vatican, which of course will sustain the entire system of Italy in place.
Okay, Daniel, let me go through this. Again, some of them did arrive last night. There's some there now, more arriving here in the next few hours. Some of their jets are coming in now here in Virginia. But specifically from my sources, they had wanted to implode the economy, but not quick enough to wake people up. Give me your inside take on that. And are things getting out of control for them, or is this implosion just part of their takeover? You know, in my film Endgame, 6 years ago, we talked to you.
Alex, it's, first of all, the discussion is, the Bilderberg meeting is up and running. It started this morning. Some people obviously are coming, such as the case of some of the participants from overseas. But again, the meeting it starts on Thursday, it ends on Saturday midday. Then, of course, they go for their boat ride or golf game. But the point is, the meeting does start this morning. It did start at about 8:30 this morning. And again, the key point which was discussed this morning is the destruction of the United States dollar. And obviously, the whole thing about what's coming up is, as one Bilderberger said this morning, and I quote, Europe and the United States are now on a collision course with a second Lehman-type